Hello YouTube, I'm back with the next BattleBots review, and today I'm kind of going into a little bit of, I'm going to finish up Season 1, because the last episode is mostly just the Rumble, so I'm kind of just going to glaze over that, and get into Season 2's opener and actual first premiere episode. So we'll start with the finals of the very last episode of the Season 1.0 was kind of a recap episode. There were a couple rumbles at the end, they weren't really all that spectacular. So you're not missing a whole lot. I guess if you tuned in late, that's kind of your chance to catch up on everything. And you get a little bonus action to really kind of get you going in case, as I said, you showed up late and you get your first real fight. You'll get to see a little bit, and then I guess you can go back through and see if the episodes are worth your while. I'm sure they'll replay them in between seasons 1 and 2. But, that's kind of about it. I mean, the Rumbles, again, as I said, they weren't really all that great to begin with. There were a couple, I guess, notable moments. Nightmare running around on his back, and Hazard hitting a seam in the floor and actually breaking his own wedge to some extent. Gets a final hit in on Bad Attitude at the end, but you can kind of see why the Rumbles stopped airing. It's very difficult to make them work, and even then, even when the robots are all working, the crowd decided who won those. So I'll move on to the intro episode, which we get to see all the new builders and the new robots that are coming in there. We get a little taste of what the arena is like, because, we got a fight involved as well. We got Evil Fish Tank versus Tenemushi. That was the only fight they actually ever aired in the half-hour episode. So a lot of it, again, we got to see it. We got to have a little tour of the various, where the builders live. We had Panic Attack debuting El Diablo. Let's see, Suicidal Tendencies, and it ends up being rather ironic in part, mostly because builders end up being both the ones like Mortis, and Mortis was another builder back then. They all said that, oh, they're so much better than everybody, than the Americans, and well, we find out in the next episode that doesn't work out so well. They kind of get screwed over by the Americans, so I think having the stronger alcohol, I think, is an indication of why they lost. So, and then the fight with Evil Fish Tank and Tenemushi, it was kind of an unusual fight, but it was rather one-sided. About as one-sided as you could go. Tenemushi, I don't think, got any points in that at all. It was 45-0. One of the several decisions like that. But, I mean, you got to see a little action from the new Pulverizer. It's not like it didn't play a role. And the Kill Saws played a role as well. We got a little taste that they were upgraded at this point, which is, Pulverizer was probably the biggest upgrade at that time, because, the Pulverizer was a dinky little sledgehammer in Season 1. Now it was actually capable of causing damage. It was actually a weight inside, and that's why it was so dangerous. At least partially why it was so damaging. And, of course, the robots weren't exactly able to withstand at that point either. But then we go on to episode 2, which we got Vlad versus Mjolnir, and this is where they started going hour-long episodes, but of course this was the only hour-long episode at the time. There would be others later on in the tournament, I guess, when they realized, oh, we got a lot of information to kill, we got to get this out of here, get this up on TV before the next event. Or just to kind of give us, this was also the season where we had the various commercials that aired, including the marathon that took place. The Destructathon, that was an actual marathon. I remember fondly watching that when it aired. It was a lot to watch. I mean, there was a lot of episodes. And it was kind of the lead into, Season 3. But the fights are starting to get a little more interesting. Vlad ends up dominating against Mjolnir, which was a thwackbot that got dominated by Biohazard last season. But Mjolnir, got a couple hits in there. Ended up losing his weapon. I think most of the Pulverizer helped because it got stuck partway through that fight. And then you got a little bit of controversy with, Turbo and Buddy Lee, but it's less controversial than you think because, Sean Salisbury thought he won with cuteness, but the fact of the matter is, Turbo was out. They were pretty much disabled, but the only reason why they weren't being counted out is because they were still being pushed around, so they were kind of sort of deemed mobile, even though they weren't. Because as it turns out, the impacts from Turbo's weapon actually went right into the wheels and they fell off. So that was kind of the end of that Buddy Lee actually proved to be at least a somewhat durable bot. I mean, not, I don't think anyone would have expected it to last as long as it did. It made it the full 3 minutes. I mean, as did Turbo, but Turbo basically lost everything. They had no drive, and later on, no spin. So they were not. They'd probably already lost spin power sometime, earlier in the fight, but we didn't see it because of spinning so fast previously. It had enough inertia to keep going for a while. And then, who else did we have? We had... let me have a look here. That's right. Okay. Yeah, Snake versus War Machine. That was an unusual fight. It was a very unusual fight. Again, rather one-sided, because, Snake, Mark Zatracki, couldn't really get going. It's a very difficult machine to kind of rolls out on the arena. It doesn't get very far. It doesn't even have its own square. War Machine, which has 10-wheel drive, is able to kind of pulverize it to bits, even taking it to the pulverizer. And eventually, I guess they smoked their speed controller or their batteries because they were not able to get out of that. And of course, you had an equally one-sided fight: Toe Crusher versus No Tolerance 3. Which is, the walker wasn't a bad-looking walker. The weapon was kind of a floppy saw blade. I'm not really sure what that was all about, but Toe Crusher, total dominance everywhere you look. Got dragged it over the kill saw, so it had a lot of strength because walkers back then had a 50-pound weight bonus added, or 50% weight bonus, so they were heavier than your typical robots of that weight class. So I'm not sure how much No Tolerance weighed, but it was more than probably Toe Crusher. Toe Crusher was built for the regular weight limit, and No Tolerance was built for the later weight limit. The weight limit for walkers, which was, as I said, 50% more. But they were dominated, so it didn't matter. So, they had no way to win the fight. They ended up getting stuck on the spike strip, and that's why later on in Season 3, there's that Lexan shield over that gap. Although, that's probably the only instance I know of where a bot actually got stuck. I guess in Season 1, a little bit, but not as much. Mjolnir didn't really get stuck there. Tanamushi didn't really get stuck there. And it wouldn't have mattered. It's not like No Tolerance would have won that fight had the, I think they ended up going the distance, and Toe Crusher got a little bit of it, got thrown across the arena a little bit, but it didn't really harm them at all, so they didn't get much in the way of points at all. But it was an interesting fight. It was a nice hour-long episode. It kind of made up for the fact that the first episode had nothing, and then you just ended the previous season with not a lot of action, but 6 fights, not bad for an hour-long show at that point. Of course, then you had to kind of you had to remember that the following weeks were going to be half-hour episodes. But overall, not a bad way to not a bad way to end Season 1, but not a bad way to start Season 2, especially giving us the new builders. That was a nice treat to start, and then of course you got a fight, so it's not just a bunch of yapping for half an hour. That was good. And then of course 6 fights in the following episodes. That helped really make up for the difference. And it was all in a half hour too. So it was a full hour. So it was pretty darn good. So yeah, that's my review on both the season finale of Season 1 and the start of Season 2, including the first episode, the official first episode. Thanks for watching.